everyone. Hey, welcome to the SDK Q&A. What's up, chat? How are you? I saw someone said hi to Marcial and Seb. You got the wrong crew. Today, we got Jorg and the SDK team here with us today for this very special second iteration of the SDK Q&A. So, hi, everyone. How are you? Great to see so many familiar faces in chat today. To start off, I'm Jane. I'm the community manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And below me, you have Jorg. Hi, Jorg. What's up?
Hi. Excited to be here.
Excited to have you once again. And the two faces you may have seen once before, but are back. In the middle, we have Alize.
Yeah, hi, people.
Hello, and Eric.
Hi, everyone.
And they are part of our SDK team here. And today we really wanted to focus on the scenery editor, but before we get into that, obviously, you know, we're all very excited. The Xbox date was announced on Sunday, Top Gun, really cool stuff coming, which we're definitely going to talk about, but it's not going to be in this stream. So if you have questions about the Xbox release or about PC improvements, we have plenty of dev Q&As coming up. Tomorrow's is for world updates, but on June 30th, that's really when we're going to dive into Xbox and PC updates. So please, I ask that you save your questions for those Q&A so we can really focus on the SDK today. So with that in mind, chat, let's get started here. I'm going to switch screens so we can talk about, here we go, the SDK. So Elise, I'm going to kind of kick it off to you to start a presentation first, and then we'll get into the questions and answers.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So everybody loves a good PowerPoint presentation, so we're going to start with this today. First of all, thank you for joining us in this second SDK Q&A live session. We are very happy to be with you again. Like Jane mentioned, we are going to focus on the scenery editor today because this is what I would like us to work on for the rest of the year. So most of the questions today will be focused on that part of the dev mode. Before we get into these questions, I would like to have a word about the new devsupport.flightsimulator.com platform, which has been live for 2 weeks now. I believe you've all been there. We have 160 active users, which is very good. I think it works cool, actually, it just works well. We have lots of questions, lots of ideas as well that are being posted. Don't worry, we still haven't had time to answer your ideas. It's not because we don't read them, it's just that we haven't had time yet to process that, but we are working on it. I have prepared a quick video to give you a few words about Answer Hub, how it works, how important it is to read the guidelines that we wrote, and the tiny feature that could be helpful for you. So, Jane, if you please share the video.
Enjoy.
That's my voice on it.
First thing to know is that you don't need an account to see content. It's public for everyone. But you will need to create one if you want to add your own content and answer existing questions. The very first thing to do is check the guidelines. We gathered a series of advice and how-to help you use the platform in total respect of each other. Once you're all set, you can browse for some existing content in case someone already had the same problem as you have. If you can't find any similar question, article, or idea, then click on the arrow next to the Create button and select the proper item type. Ideas are for feature suggestions. Questions are for issues, weird behavior, and suspicions of bugs. Article is what you create if you wish to share content, tutorial, advice, etc. Feel free to share with the community. The rest of the platform is quite basic. You can post your question in different spaces and tag them with a list of topics. One feature can be very useful if you wish to share private information with Asobo and Microsoft only, the private comment. You can post a question with public content and then add a comment with more details like pictures or code. And under the Publish button, select Viewable by Moderators and the original poster. This way, only Sylvain and myself will have access to the additional data contained in your comments. First thing to know.
Okay, there we go. All right, hopefully you heard it all. And if you haven't checked out Answer Hub, definitely do. I put the link a few times in chat there. So enjoy that. We'll move on here.
Yeah, so like it was said in the video, you can feel free to browse for any existing content and ask your questions if you think there is something weird, or if you would like to learn more about a specific topic, or even if you think that the documentation lacks details, you can definitely post something to ask us for more detail. And we have Mark, our tech writer guy, he's going to just to add more explanation to help you use the dev mode. And since you've been using the dev support platform, you've all heard about the flying raccoon who lives here. That's Sylvain. He's our tech QA. He joined us a few weeks ago. And basically, he's going to help you with any questions that you have. He's going to, I don't know, spend most of his time on the platform and try to investigate in your issues and provide answers. And today he's joining us to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here. Okay, so I'm going to introduce myself. And of course, the first thing I want to mention is that I fly way more gracefully than what's displayed in the presentation. I'm a very agile and graceful flying raccoon. And the other thing I want to say is that I'm a flight simulation enthusiast. Actually, I brought here, I don't know if you can see that, but my first flight simulation game ever, which was Combat Flight Simulator. So I was maybe 10 or 12, and I started playing this with my keyboard.
Awesome.
And then I never stopped. I basically played every single flight simulation game that was released ever since. And so that's very important for me to be here. My first job, and it's quite funny to say, is that I worked for the French Armée de l'Air, the French Air Force, and I climbed into a Mirage 2000 cockpit and learned to use the INS and do an alignment procedure that I actually created back on FSX using the FSX SDK. Nice. So yeah, maybe 10 years ago, I learned how to use this, and now I'm here helping the team to design the SDK. So it's really fun to be here. In the meantime, I've worked for 8 years in the professional flight simulation industry, and I did a lot of different things. I did a lot of graphics programming. I did some modeling and texturing. I did some airport creation, some navigation database management as well. So I learned a lot about the aeronautics and the aviation industry. And when Flight Simulator 2020 was released, just like I guess most of you, I was really excited to see the franchise coming back, and with so much ambitions and technical ambitions. So of course I wanted to participate, and yeah, I joined the team a few weeks ago as a technical QA. So basically what I do will be, I have 2 different tasks. First, I'm the one testing the SDK. So on a regular basis, I test the most feature that I can on the SDK and try to find bugs. And being a programmer myself, I can investigate, debug, and sometimes fix those issues. Or I can rely on the developers for this, and I can provide them with very accurate information. So that's one part. And the other one that you know and that you are aware of is that I am the main contact for the support on the SDK on the platform. And yeah, so far it's been really a great experience. There's been a lot of activity, a lot of people very involved, and I really wanted to thank you because so far it's really a good experience. People are helping each other. The reports that you are providing on the platform are very accurate. and you provide samples. And all of this is very helpful for us, and it makes us very efficient. So I really look forward to continuing this relationship, and I hope I'll be able to help you on your project.
Thank you, Sylvain. It's great that you were a SDK user and now you're helping develop the current one. So I love to see things like that. So welcome. I'm glad to have you.
Thanks.
So yes, Sylvain, he's our flying raccoon, and I'll be showing up sometimes as the sonnant alpaca as well. So now you know the faces behind the funny animal names, which we didn't choose, but anyway. Here, I wanted to say a few words about the progress we made since the last SDK session, so that you can see where we're at and where we're going. So a few words about the visual effects editor. I believe some of you already started using it. The beta version is live. It went live on the Sim Update 4. We are preparing lots of updates, new features, improvements, bug fixing. So you should get a new batch on the visual effects editor in the next update, as well as the video tutorial, which should arrive very soon. And it should help you to create a simple smoke effect, and then you're free to go as far as you can, as far as you want.
Just a small note on that, perhaps. I believe you've all seen the trailer that's been shown for, well, during E3, virtual E3. And I've seen some comments about how the landing effects looked quite good.
Very good.
And just to be crystal clear about that, these effects have been done with the visual effects editor.
Yeah.
So of course it's a slightly more advanced version than the one you have in Twitter. It's a more advanced and more stable one, but yeah, everything you've seen has been done with this tool, so you'll be able to do that kind of thing as well with the next iteration of the visual effects editor. That's
great.
And you will have the exact same tool as what we use internally. A little word on the WebAssembly. We said that we were working on that, so we have a new recruit. His name is Maxime, and he already started and kicked in the optimization, the compilation time, sorry.
Yeah, so basically, some of the more ambitious WASM modules we have on the platform, they can take several minutes to compile, which can be tricky for the developers, because when they want to iterate, they need to compile, test the stuff. Of course, you can debug from within Visual Studio, but it's not always easy. So sometimes they have to stop their debugging, change a few lines of code, recompile the WASM, then reload the sim, then reload the add-on, and then it gets recompiled for the simulation. So it's a bit tricky. So, I mean, just to give you a rough idea, yeah, well, it's written on the screen, you've seen it, but we're going to add a fast compilation mode that will make the compilation of your WASM within the sim 8 times faster. About 8 times. That's for the biggest modules. That's what we've reached. There's a drawback though, which isn't written here. You'll get slightly less performance when you use this mode. So it will compile faster, but it will render a bit slower in the sim. So this is really a mode that is made for those developers who want to iterate fast, and they cannot spend hours a day waiting for recompilation. So they will benefit from that. And when they're okay with the behavior of their WASM module, then they can switch to the normal compilation, which will take a few minutes, but then they'll have maximum performance. So that's the idea.
Great. Just to interrupt you real quick, thank you for the raid, Chewy. I hope you had a great stream. Really appreciate you. We're doing the SDK Q&A right now, talking about the WASM. One question I saw in chat, maybe for you, Eric, is will compilation use all physical cores of CPU?
Yeah, I've seen the question. The thing is that, as you know, the game is heavily multi-threaded already. And right now, the compilation is done on only one core, because the other ones are doing other stuff. So I guess I see the idea, if the WASM compilation is taking a long time, basically the last thing you're waiting for before the flight kicks in is the end of the compilation. Unfortunately, we cannot start the compilation on one core and then distribute it over others. We'll have to see if we can do something about it. I doubt it, to be honest. Well, I doubt it in the short term. Perhaps in the long term, we can research that and find some solutions. I'm sure we can, but in the in the short to mid term, I don't think this will be the case. But it's a good point. Yeah. We'll have to check that.
Cool, thank you.
And then
And then we have the scenery editor. So we mentioned it 2 months ago that we wanted to get started with it. So yes, finally we are getting started. So we collected data internally because of course our own artists and developers, they also use the scenery editor. So they have their own wish lists, which is just as long as the one that you have. And we would like to have this Q&A today to gather your input and your feedbacks and just make sure that we go into a direction that suits your needs and that will help you to get more efficient while you create sceneries on the sim. So I have this mockup I can show you. So like it stated, it's just a mockup. This is where we would like to go. We would like to have something that renders the game as a window inside the tool. We believe it would make it easier to use. And this is just to give you an idea of where we are heading. And once we do that, the idea is to do the same thing for all the other tools. So in the end, you will have one dev mode to join them all.
Yeah, basically the idea is that in any CAD tool that you may know or you may use actually if you're modeling aircraft, we'd like to have one viewport to start with. I know some of you will ask for multiple viewports later on, but we'll start with one.
Baby steps.
And then we'd like to have all the tools distributed around the main window. And it will be easier to use than the current transparent windows that, of course, you can dock out if you use multiple screens. That's what we do in the office. But yeah, for most people, it will probably be easier to work with that kind of layout. And so that's what we are aiming for.
Yeah, and here is a quick list of what we plan to do. So basically, the part that I like the most is the fact that we need to improve the UX UI. So basically bring more icons, more tags, make it look clearer and easier to use if you've never opened it before. We would like to have more versatile exclusion polygons. So this is a question that we've had on the previous Q&A session. We've had it like 5 or 6 times in this session. So yes, we are going to provide exclusion polygons that are more efficient and that can exclude more things. We've had AI traffic. We've had electric spot. Les pylônes.
Power
lines.
Yes.
Power lines, yeah.
Power
Good.
lines. Thanks. So basically lots of stuff that you cannot exclude from the scenery today. Like you saw on the mockup, we would like to render the game as a window inside the editor. We would like to improve jetways and to make it very easy to create a jetway, which is not at the moment. A simple one, I mean, it may look simple, but it will really ease things, is the fact that we'll add a shortcut to center the camera on a selected object. We'll also create a feature named Validate Airport. Basically, it will help you locate the errors on the airport before you build it. And last but not least, we'll have to create a tool for creating fences, because today you have to place them manually, and that can be very long. So we'll create something that makes it a lot easier. This is a list. This is where we are going to start. This is not all the things we'll do on the scenery editor. We will add more stuff because we plan to work on it for like 4 to 5 months, I think, at least until next year. But we'll keep you posted on what we'll do on the release note, the weekly release notes that you get. And we'll probably ask some questions on the dev support platform to gather your feedbacks and to give you information on how it's going on the scenery editor development. So we'll keep you posted. And that's all for my PowerPoint presentation. I think we can skip to the questions.
Just one thing before we we go to the questions. So you've seen the focus will be on the scenery editor, but don't believe we'll work only on the scenery editor. I've mentioned the FX editor will probably get upgrades throughout the year, and the WebAssembly stuff will also get more attention. Well, actually, it's already getting more attention, but it will be even more. And new APIs should be developed for people that use WebAssembly. So we'll talk about that later. But these are the three main things we're working on these days.
Yeah, we'll also have some bug fixing probably to do on the aircraft tool, on the mission editor as well. But this is not as big of a subject as the scenery editor. But yes. We have a lot to do.
A lot more to come.
And yes, and with that, we'll go ahead and delve into our questions. And chat, feel free to ask any SDK related questions. I'll go ahead and start asking some that we've already found in the forums. So the first most popular question was, can we get the ability to create lights that are visible from a larger distance?
Yeah, about that, it depends on the types of light you're talking about, but the ones that you import through 3ds Max, they have to be duplicated on all LODs. So I don't know if you've done that. If you haven't, they will disappear, of course. So you can check the documentation, and if you are talking about a different type of lights and you still are unable to do what you want, you can ask the question on the dev support platform. This is a sentence that I'm going to repeat 100 times during the hour, but that's definitely a reflex to have.
Definitely, and I'll be spamming that link 100 times too. Next question I got is, it would be perfect to use ground textures with high resolution without compression. Can you comment on that if you want to try to do that?
Well, the thing is that it really depends, because I mean, it would be good to use very high resolution textures, and we'd like to do it on all of our craft or for the ground or everything. But we have to think about, I mean, basically this has to scale, so we can't always use even if you provide us with a very high resolution texture, sometimes we have to scale it down because it has to fit, and everything else has to fit into your graphics card, and everything has to run. So I'm not 100% sure. I mean, we have more detail about the question, because it's unclear to me exactly what the issue is. If the question is we want to have 4K textures everywhere, that won't be possible. So I don't know, more or less the same answer as Alize has just made. If you can give us a bit more information about what you're trying to do, that could be helpful. But yeah, if the question is I want to use only 4K textures and I want to see them crystal clear when I zoom when I'm very close to the tarmac, I guess it won't be possible. But yeah, we're open to this.
Mm-hmm. And question I'm seeing here from chat from CD. Scrolling up. Is there a third-party scenery mod that you think is particularly impressive and a good showcase for the SDK's capabilities for other mod creators?
Well, I can think of at least one, which is our flagship regarding WASM modules. It's the CRJ. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the best examples that I know not everyone is convinced about using WebAssembly, and we've talked about it before. Mm-hmm. At least it shows that you can get rather complex aircraft with this mechanism, even if it's not the good old DLL. So I'm looking forward to other companies that are actually currently working on huge things, and we'd like to see more. So that's on the aircraft side. On the scenery side, I know Sylvain knows add-ons much better than I do. I don't know if you have ideas in mind.
Actually, I don't. I guess Orbex has already released a few products for airports. At least I've heard about it. So maybe you can check that out, because they have a long history about creating really high-quality modules for Flight Simulator.
This a little bit. So I bought just about everything that anybody has made, and I look at everything. I would say there are some badass airports by people who have done badass airports in the past. I don't want to spend specific names, but there are some airports that are stunningly good, and honestly, they're driving us forward to make our airports better. So that's a great collaboration, and I really like what's currently going on with airport textures. there are 2 packs that are out. One is in our marketplace, one is not yet, but I'm totally sold on it. So I think we're gonna bring that also to our marketplace. So there's lots of cool stuff going on. And maybe the last one is like, I like the boat sim. I forgot exactly what it's called, but I totally enjoyed it. So there's lots of creativity going on, which I think is great.
And also the Flying Fabio, thank you so much for that raid. Really appreciate it. Welcome everybody, friends of Fabio. Going back to the first question real quick about creating lights that are visible from larger distance, the author of that post is here and they wanted to clarify. They were talking about sprite lights, so no matter LOD lights have a very small distance. They meant lights that are similar to runway lights.
Lights that are similar to runway lights, and so they want to make them, let me just...
To create lights that are visible from a larger distance.
To be honest, I don't have in mind the cut distance that we use for those lights. So is it that small? That from how far would you like to see them? Actually, that's probably the question.
Sure. Yeah, we'll wait for their answer, but while we wait, we'll go to the next question. Can Asobo provide airport scenery developers something in the SDK where they can remove the AI regular passenger vehicles from the airport?
Yes. Next question.
No. Okay.
No, yes, we're doing this. It's part of the exclusions thing that we mentioned earlier, but yeah. Yes, we will do something like that.
Awesome, great.
I mean, I would say just to say something, but if it's in the feedback snapshot and we said it's in 2021, then that means it's currently being worked on. So the thing that we publish every week, we actually do look at it a lot.
Yeah.
And next question here. Recently, there's been some confusion regarding which is the correct way to provide add-on mesh for the simulator. It'd be great if the SDK team delved into this matter to provide a clear, definitive answer.
So who wants to handle this one? Sylvain, do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to talk about it?
I can deal with it. There's no official support for adding stuff like elevation models or like playing with the water lines, the coastlines and everything, because obviously these data, the geo-referenced data, is something that is used at very low level of the engine. So at the moment, what we provide and what we try to provide and improve is a way to have an influence on this data through the scenery editor. So we were talking about the exclusion polygons that will allow you to exclude some of the geo-reference data, and we will add some other features like removing the power lines and the roads and everything. And we also have these kind of features for the water polygons. I've had questions on the Answer Her platform about this. People wanting to mix the imagery, the aerials with the water, and that's the kind of stuff that we can do here with our tools, but that we don't provide an access to yet through the scenery editor, or at least not as detailed as we want it to. But we will improve it over time. Actually, we had a conversation about this just right before this live, and we'll work on it, obviously.
Great, thank you. All right, we have some clarification on the light post here from Puffin. On lights again, they meant kilometers, so you use such lights in map where antennas, etc. should be. They work great, but we can't attach such lights to models that would be visible from 10 to 20 km. I had hundreds of thousands of obstacles that at night are barely visible right now. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so I suspect if they're attached to objects, are we talking about objects in the scenery or aircraft? Because
scenery, obstacle database stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm not too sure about the distance we use to cut the lights. I'll have to check it. I can't really tell you.
I think it's good feedback. Well, so all up, we're looking at the obstacle database we have.
To be honest, the reason I can't answer it is that it's not exactly the SDK related. It's more on the gameplay or rendering side that we decide where to cut. So perhaps we need to have a setting in the SDK that allows you to go a bit further. But then if everyone releases add-ons that make their lights visible at 1,000 kilometers around, we'll start having problems, and the engine team or the gameplay team will come back to me and say, what's this? So there's some fine tuning and some middle ground to find here. But I'll check that. If you can, or perhaps the question is already on Answer Hub, but if it's not and you ask it there, I can ask and check what the cut is and if we can increase it or not.
We'll do the same.
Yeah, basically, if you have some trouble seeing the obstacles with bad weather or something like this, like a light on top of a windmill, for instance, you can provide a video or a picture of this in the Answer Hub platform, and definitely we'll have a look.
And I think I saw on the chat a question, basically the same question, but about multiplayer planes that disappear at 5 kilometers, I think.
I think it's more than that.
More
it
than
should
that.
be more than that.
And that's the same answer because it's on the gameplay part of the game. We've had this problem with the contrails that we create from the visual effects editor because the contrails, we can see them from a distance of, I think, 60 kilometers, which is a lot more. But the multiplayer planes, they disappear way before that. So if there is no plane, there is no contrails. And that's why at the moment you cannot see the contrails from a longer distance. But this is something we have to work on with the gameplay team. And we'll definitely try to do something.
I think we'll talk about this on next week, in 2 weeks, in the other update, because work has been done on this exact topic.
That's exciting. Okay, good to know. Thanks. All right, next question here. So in our sim update for release notes under scenery editor, we mentioned that we fixed the Windstocks with the wrong orientation. So the question is for those airport creators who have created project files where they've adjusted the orientation of the Windstock by 180, if they want to ever compile that airport again into a new BGL, will they have to modify the orientation of the windsock as a result of this fix, or will it do it automatically?
Yes, actually, you have to reopen the airport and remove the rotation that you made and then build it again.
Okay.
Because we fixed it in the meantime, so yeah, sorry.
No problem. Next question here. When adjusting terrain height, sometimes the result in developer mode is different than what you get in-game. Can we have a clear explanation of why this happens?
Well, typically on this one, we couldn't find a way to answer because we need more details. So if you could please ask the question on the dev support platform and maybe...
with a screenshot?
Yeah, maybe add screenshots, maybe in private if you want to keep that between you and us, but we definitely need more details to investigate on what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also as a bonus, when dealing with such issues that we are not able to reproduce, providing a basic sample, a project that is showing the issue is very, very useful. I know I had a conversation about this on the Answer Hub platform. There was a question about someone using the terraforming tools, and he was not able to get the result he wanted. And I wasn't able to reproduce the issue. And actually, in the end, I think in this kind of case, the sample project or at least a screenshot with the coordinates where you have the issue will help us a lot in debugging this.
Yeah, actually, we've done that in the previous platform when we were interacting with people through the forum, the official forum, rather than Answer Hub. And a few times I asked people about sample models that would just show the issue, and it helps us doing things faster, really.
A lot. And the more details you give, the better.
And a question I'm seeing a lot is, will there be a visual docking guidance system anytime soon?
Anytime soon, I suppose not. In the future, yes. But yeah, anytime, it depends what you mean by soon. But if you mean in the next few months, I'd say no.
Well, I would say we're currently we're actually reaching out to some folks to get priorities for new features.
Mm-hmm.
I saw some other stuff that comes up sometimes, like blast jetways and whatnot. So I would say use Answer Hub to give feedback on what's important to you.
Great.
Yeah, please.
Next question. Why does aircraft model first read the default ILS frequency instead of the ILS frequency I set?
So I think this is an issue that's been reported by many people, and we've already, we use a ticket system for our bugs. We already have a ticket for that and someone assigned to it. So hopefully it will be, the issue will be identified quickly and then fixed. I can't say if it will be the next update or the one after though. So I haven't had time to look at progress on this one. I mean, as you can imagine, we've all been very busy the past few weeks. So yeah.
You're also the trailer, so.
So we have to. I mean, I guess I've seen this one answer. I'm not sure. Perhaps it was on the forum, but yeah, we'll try to give you an update on that.
Yeah, it's a known issue, and we have a ticket about that.
Great, thank you. When will it be possible to exclude the floating orbs, aka streetlights, with the SDK using the exclusion rectangle or any other method?
Well, I think it goes back to what we said at the beginning, that we want to work on the scenery editor, and one of the top priorities for everyone is being able to exclude stuff from the basic scenery. Mm-hmm. And so that will be added as part of this overall. Well, it's not an overhaul, but it's an improvement.
Yes.
There's an idea about this on the Answer Hub platform. If you have a request that is not covered in this idea, you can obviously add it as a comment. And when we deal with this issue, we'll go through all the elements that were requested and see what we can do.
Yeah, and don't forget to vote on an idea. If you think it's relevant and you would like to see that feature as well, please just click vote and we'll see that it's something expected by the community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, votes, ideas, and questions, because it's really useful for us to see how many people are impacted by issues or feature requests.
Mm-hmm. Question from Simulation Games Live. Can you add MP3 support for mission triggers? Right now it's just WAV files.
That's the question for the audio team, I think.
Because I mean,
it's WAV at the moment.
Because we use WISE, and does WISE only support WAV? But to be honest, I don't know. I'm not using it personally, but I would be surprised they only use one type of format. But I'll have to check with the audio team. I can't answer this.
I would assume there is a good reason for that, but we need to check it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Question here is, can I add an option to apply a custom texture to the taxiway paths? Right now it can only be done with the painted lines, which means the work has to be done twice.
Yes, I think it's been talked about. You don't happen to know this one, Sylvain?
No. Actually, I've created a few lines and everything, but I've not tried to replace the textures that I used.
I don't think it's on the roadmap to allow custom configuration for that. Mm-hmm. At the moment, no, that's not something we plan to do on the scenery editor. So we'll see in a few weeks when we are done with the things we've planned, and we'll see if we can do that, if we decide to do that or not. Mm-hmm. But at the moment, it's not in our list.
Yeah. Is there any chance that we can have an official guide or tutorial on how to make liveries? I know there's some out there right now that aren't official, but I think this person is hoping for something from us.
I think there is a sample that's been shipped, or that will be shipped.
Perhaps it should have been shipped and it hasn't been, and it will be shipped. That might be the right answer. Because we create lots of samples to add to the SDK, mm-hmm. And I mean, for every new feature we try to add a sample and document everything. And yes, sometimes there's a bit of a hit and miss between what we've created and what we integrate into the SDK that is released to you. I'm wondering if this one is not one of those that has slipped away and that wasn't included in the last SDK update. So
you can check. It should be called Simple Aircraft Livery, I think.
Is it in the SDK? Do you remember?
It should, I think. And the documentation as well.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going to check right away.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have it right. I'm not going to take
Maybe the limitation that we have to mention is that the official way to create a livery from now requires that you have the original package source of the aircraft you want to create the livery for.
Yeah.
And we plan to improve that, of course.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, this is being discussed internally as well, to how to basically open this. So yeah, when we have more information about that, we'll share, of course.
Mhm.
And having an official guide, I think, is a good idea.
Yeah. And if you feel the need for a video tutorial, maybe we can do something as well.
Mhm. Cool. Thank
So
you.
yeah, put that in our list.
Yeah. Next question. Hi, I'm working on Navi Mumbai Airport, but there's a lot of power poles across the area which I can't get removed.
Mhm.
Do you plan on excluding this as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Will there be better SDK support for animations made available to third-party developers?
Yes, so this is something we would love to work on, and we would love to allow you to bring more animations. But currently we have one animator doing all the stuff on the simulation, and basically no bandwidth to improve that, to work on that. So we'll see what we can do in terms of documentation, but we won't be able to add a specific feature in the scenery editor anytime soon. Sorry.
Thank you.
Mm.
Reading some funny questions.
I-
here. Moving on to the next question. Will you be providing a way to edit auto-generated ambient traffic outside of airports?
Well, I think it can already be done. So I can't remember is it the living world part? But basically, the world is divided in 26 areas in Flight Sim, and I think we have an example called the living world that should allow you to change the traffic. But one thing you cannot do is just specify a small area and change the traffic there. Like if you want to do it around the town, a village, or whatever. No, you can't do that right now. So I'm not too sure how we could handle that. I mean,
yellow taxis in New York or red buses in London, stuff
yeah,
like that.
exactly. So I'd say, of course, we'd love to do it. I think. I mean, I'm sure.
I think this is one of those things we're talking about for next year. Actually, there's a whole, we call it internally World 2.0 strike team that is looking into a whole bunch of things like this. But right now it never popped, so it's not prioritized yet. But we'll get to it.
Yeah.
So when it makes it to the main game, it will make it to the SDK as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this is a question I actually saw at the very beginning of the stream. It'd be great if we could get a better tool to place fences. Right now, you place fences. Yeah, single sim object.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. We completely agree because we also have to place the fences one by one. And so, yeah, we will create something for that.
Actually, thinking about it, if you've used the visual effects editor beta version and you've tried to do stuff like this, you might have found that it's not easy either to place your effects in sceneries. It's rather easy on aircraft, on sim objects in general. It might be a bit trickier on the scenery, so that's something we're working on as well. So tools to help you improving your sceneries.
Yeah.
I like Jelly's comment. Make the fences work like you're building in The Sims. Great. Okay, next question. Will we get an easier option to remove the services at the small airports we create and they put ... I know, I'm lazy.
Yeah, there should be an explanation on the documentation about that. We have the airport services page that describes the way to remove services from your XML files. So I'm sorry, that's the basic read the manual question answer, but yeah.
And if that's not enough,
you have the dev support platform.
Which I'll
and let us know if something provided with the SDK in the samples or the documentation is not clear to you. That's also something we're iterating and improving a lot. So don't hesitate to add questions and ideas about that.
Thanks. A question from Unicorn in chat. Does the sim currently support remote activation of runway lighting at an unmanned airport?
At the moment, I don't think
It does
so.
not, but it actually made it on the it was actually on the feedback snapshot a while ago. It's fairly low on the priority list, but we've heard that you wanted that.
Yep. All right, question here. Sorry about the squeaks in the background. Using the SDK, oh my gosh, using the SDK without being able to unmount and mount the mod is very time consuming due to rising startup time. When will this be possible, or why not?
So I'm not sure I get this one.
Basically, what I think it means, because I've had an issue as well, and I expect it's really painful and time consuming, is that the behavior of the different packages you're creating, depending if it's an airport, an aircraft, I don't know, a static object, or the behavior is different. Sometimes it's edited in live, and as soon as you modify something in the editor, it's updated live. Sometimes you have to build the package. Sometimes you have to copy it. Sometimes you have to restart the game. And we really need to unify this, and so that at least the behavior can be expected, and the time can be reduced.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we're definitely having a look at this. We have a lot of tickets about this.
The only part I don't get is the due to rising startup time. Does it mean that sometimes he has to exit the sim and restart it to see changes he's making to the?
In some cases, yes, it's needed.
Okay.
Not the most common, but we have a few packages that need a game request, a game restart.
We have different behaviors, and we.
It's heterogeneous. We know that. Yeah.
It's not easy. We cannot promise that everything will be able to be edited live for sure, because from some part of the engine it requires to process the data at loading times or stuff like this. But definitely we are having a look at what we can improve, and there's room for improvement.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you so much. So Jellynick wants to say they're happy that we're so transparent, and appreciate that. We have about 7 minutes left, so we'll just take a few more questions here. Why are projected mesh textures low resolution? Objects added as a normal scenery object are at full resolution, but resolution is at least half when added as a projected mesh.
That's a good question. I would expect it's at least the same resolution. It kind of overlaps with the question we have with improving the resolution. What's difficult for us is having higher resolution than what we provide with the standard assets. But I expect that you would have the same resolution as every other assets when you are using the project in meshes. I don't know if we have a ticket about this yet. We can have a look at this for sure.
Yeah. I think then, it's the same issue as the one we talked about previously. Having high resolution everywhere. Of course, you'll say if we support it today, then in 5 years' time, when we have even more powerful GPUs and more memory and more everything, it would be good to have. True. So perhaps it's a case of allowing that kind of profile specs and like Maxi Ultra.
We have some discussions about that with Seb, right? To actually do something with like an Ultra Plus. We just don't want to do it now. Right now you get it soon, like the highly optimized build that's coming out for PC and Xbox soon. And then after that, we can talk about like, how do we enable even fatter machines with better graphics cards and whatnot. They'll always be at the top end. We'll make sure of that.
Yeah. Fog Turtle says, is there a way to see all the Elve VARS and add-ons is using?
I didn't get that one.
Is there a way to see all the Elvars that an add-on is using? I don't think there is.
I don't think so.
I mean,
Okay.
actually, there would be ways to see it, but I don't see why someone would want to know what Elve another add-on is using. Not sure. Same thing. If you have a more precise use case, if you can write that on answer, explain what you're trying to do, and we can probably answer. Because we use external hardware through each. Okay.
We have maybe we'll take this as the final question from Tamalian. Regarding Windstocks again, is it possible to add a Windstock maybe as a sim object that won't require any orientation settings?
Well, if it's a sim object, you have to place it somewhere. So you have to give an XYZ, and you can give no orientation, which means it's got an orientation of 0 or something. But I'm not sure. Perhaps I don't get the question.
I expect they want the animation to be like independent of the orientation, so that the part that is animated would only take the wind direction and the rotation in world into account, so that you don't have to take care about it. I think since the Windstock are dedicated objects in the sim, we can have a look. I mean, if it was a standard sim object like everything else, it would be harder. But I think we have.
Okay, I think I understand then. Okay, it relates to another issue we have in another. Okay, we'll have to check that then. It might be the same. We have, just to be clear, we have a similar issue with the FX editor that's been discovered recently. It may be the same issue. So when it's fixed on the FX editor, we might have a look at the Windstock. If it's the same problem, we fix it the same way. But yeah, it could be related. I talked to Aliza about it today. I have to talk to Sylvain about it as well. But yeah, okay.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we're going to go ahead and close it to questioning there. I think we'd have a really great hour here. So thank you, chat, for all the questions you've asked. Anyone, Jorg or Aliza or Eric, do you want to add anything before we close?
I just want to say thank you for staying on target. These are, there's a tendency to ask everything, and this is really a dedicated SDK question. So, by the way, we didn't ignore anything that you've written. I've read all of it. Some of it will be answered on June 30th, I believe, when we have our next general Q&A. Tomorrow we'll talk about, there were some ideas about the next world update. We'll talk about that tomorrow. As a matter of fact, we'll announce the next, whatever the next world update is tomorrow. So tune in. Lots of things happening.
Yep. All right, chat. Yes, we will see you tomorrow, I believe, 8:30 a.m. PDT. So it's a couple hours earlier than normal, but hopefully that'll be better for, people living in Europe and elsewhere. So SDK team, thank you so much for answering so many questions, and we'll be back here probably in a couple months to update everyone where we're at. But in the meantime, definitely check out Answer Hub, ask questions there. Sylvain is very active there and answering all the time. And if you had a question asked and you wanted to provide more details, definitely do it there. He'll definitely check it out. All right, everyone, we'll see you tomorrow, I hope. Have a great week. Goodbye, all.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.